Now here in the third quarter, the scoring drive, 12 plays, 74 yards, 4-13, and Jared Siegel connects from 33 yards, and he will kick it off. And a very high kick, but it will be returned. Bennett, some space. Bennett makes a move, and Bennett could go. Bennett to the 40, no flags. Bennett to the 20, all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Indiana.
Special teams, I say again, Joe, special teams will break your back.
98 yards for Lance Bennett.
How's it going, guys? My name is Lance Bennett. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And today I'm going to be sharing with you what it's like to be the assistant to the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Previously in my career, I was a high school football coach in Brooklyn, New York. I was also a football coach in New Jersey. And along with that, I was an athletic director in high school while I was in New Jersey as well. I grew up playing football.
Here, hopefully we can hold on, but our third game, we won that one, and then the fans caught fire.
Well, we're going to talk more to you now as Indiana comes running out with the football out to the 30, to the 35-yard line as Bennett could break it. He's to the 35, the 30, to the 20, stumbles at the 15-yard line. Lance Bennett, who's only 5'6", little self-tackleization. He returned a kick.
I played high school football in Brooklyn, New York at Poly Prep, and the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores, was a teammate of mine. So my relationship with him, as well as my experience as a football player in high school and college, a football coach in high school, and an athletic director in high school, is what led me to now being the assistant to the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. The experiences that I had as a player, the experiences that I had as a coach, as well as the experiences that I had as an athletic director, those have taught me so many things about this role that I have right now, even though I didn't realize back then that those things were preparing me for this role. As an athletic director, you have to oversee a budget. You have to oversee the equipment staff. You have to oversee the athletic training staff. You have to oversee information technology. Those are the crew that runs all of the computers and all of the information that's sent out as far as scheduling, and all of the information sent out to the players and the doctors and the trainers for the physicals. You have to make sure the grounds crew has the turf and the grass cut and prepared for the players to practice and play on. All of these things you have to do as an athletic director, and that's actually what I'm doing as the assistant to the head coach. My duties are, the chief of staff for the head coach to oversee and make sure that all of those departments are all in tune with one another. So the schedule has to be on point down to every minute and every second for the coaches to have their special teams meetings, their offensive meetings, their defensive meetings, their position meetings, and then those meetings have to break right onto the field. Then when you get off the field, you have to break right into the dining area. So the kitchen staff has to know exactly what time practice is ending and exactly what time lunch should begin. And then the equipment staff has to know exactly what time practice ends in order for them to do the laundry, in order for them to prepare the helmets and prepare the shoulder pads and all of these things, so that practice, meetings, travel to and from away games, travel to the airport, travel to the hotel once we land in a certain city, all of those things have to happen seamlessly in order for our schedule to not have any interruptions and for things to flow smoothly. So my role is to make sure that I'm the glue between all of those departments to make sure those things happen. There's a lot of other information that I have to double and triple check for the coaching staff. Once again, like I said, schedules. We have to make sure everything is planned, not only by the minute, but by the day and by the month, even down to the NFL draft, which we just had this past weekend. Okay, these are the draft selections for every single team in the NFL. Okay, knowing, what can happen during the draft, where we may make a trade, or what players may be available from other teams just in case we want to make a trade. And even down to as thick as this pad is right here. These are the social media accounts for all of the college players who were just in the draft. Everything that they posted on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for the last 10 years. So we even do character checks to see, what are these guys posting on social media? Is this a guy we would want in our organization? So things like this, this is information that I check and I do reports on to make sure that the head coach, Brian Flores, is aware of any and all information about any players we would be bringing into our organization, as well as the players we already have in our organization. Right now, I'm using an app called Teamworks. And what Teamworks is, it's kind of like our own social media platform. This would be like our own Facebook within the organization. So every player, every coach, everyone on staff has the Teamworks app, and we use this app to communicate with each other, okay? We can upload files, we can upload videos, we can upload meetings that we had in the past to make sure that everyone can look at it again. We can upload the itinerary of when players are going to be reporting and when they're going to land, and to have our operations crew go and pick them up. We can send messages to each other. This is how we communicate within the staff. This is our calendar, okay? So this is how we communicate with each other and make sure that all of the information is getting out to everyone involved. Every day I'm responsible for making sure that Teamworks is up to date with the calendar, and make sure that any messages are blasted out to the players to make sure no one is missing a meeting, or no one is late for a meeting, no one is missing a doctor's appointment, as well as, the offensive and defensive and special teams information that the coaches give out. We blast that information out to the players through Teamworks. So every night I have to make sure Teamworks is ready for the next morning, and then when I wake up in the morning, I check it again just to make sure. If it's not, I get in contact with my information technology people and update the IT team to make sure that any corrections that needs to be made will be made. So much of what I've learned from a problem-solving standpoint to an organizational standpoint, to even a time management standpoint, I've learned while getting an education. As much as I loved football and as much as I loved playing and coaching, the lessons I learned in the classroom, the lessons I learned studying after school, the lessons I learned, from having a tremendous workload and being able to manage that workload, those lessons have afforded me this opportunity. Relationships are a great thing to give you an opportunity, but if we're not learning and we're not educated and we're not ready to take advantage of those relationships, we can get an opportunity and not be ready for it. So learning and continuing to grab the nuggets that you can grab specifically in the classroom, as well as, how you manage all of that information when you get out of the classroom, is very important to prepare us for whatever career it may be that we want to get into. I believe the biggest misconception about football, or the NFL more specifically, is that you have to be a really good player or you have to be a really good coach in order to have a career in this league. But there are so many other avenues that you can explore, from being a general manager to being a scout, to being someone in information technology, to being someone in analytics. That, these are people who never even touch a football and they never even run a meeting with the players. There's so much that goes on in the organization outside of actually playing and coaching football in order for an NFL organization to be successful on the field. We have a sign up in our defensive meeting room that says "Adapt or Die." And we know we're not literally going to die, but the reason for that quote is that we are always going to be presented with something we didn't expect. We believe that in the game of football, but we also believe that in life. And we teach our players to adapt. We teach our players, don't get flustered, don't complain, don't get nervous, don't shrink back in a moment that has come because you didn't expect it. And right now, I commend you all for going through school right now at home. All right, you guys are learning through the computer. You guys are going through non-traditional learning right now, and you are adapting. So I give you a lot of credit for that. And I will say that from a career standpoint, the more you learn how to adapt adapt to your environment, adapt to certain relationships, adapt to a certain teacher or classroom that you may not like. But those who adapt, they will end up putting themselves in a position to step into great careers, step into happiness, step into things they're passionate about, even when those opportunities are not what they're used to. So adapt. Go Fins.